Peace to the tribe, peace to the collective, man. Here with another video. The humiliation ritual is over. Lunar Eclipse, March 3rd, 2026. Before we get into that, however, I want to alert people to the Substack. Just this weekend, I dropped the article talk about the ancient intent of opiates. Sometimes when we think about psychedelics and how they can help us, for me, one of the most interesting things about psychedelics in reference to things that I would study through the years, such as like magic and esoterics and occult and all this type of stuff. And people were saying, "Oh, I was talking to Lucifer the other day," and all this type of shit. And I'm like, I don't get it because I'm just existed in this world, and I ain't never talked to no demon or no spirit or no shit like that. So it was interesting for me, like the first time way back in the day when I was just experimenting with psychedelics, I had sincere contacts with Ganesha to the point where I understood what people was saying. But it's a real fine line between, you know, doing magical ritual and just enjoying yourself. So I feel like psychedelics are like you can basically do both until you stop enjoying that shit, and then you have to be like, all right, what am I even doing this for? Um, I've been doing some research in a book that I got from a bookstore at a mound. So you could get it at Amazon, but most people are not really hip to it. See if I can find it. So many books. I was just looking at it though, because I was just reading it. But it was called, I found it, Shamans of the Lost World. And so this particular book, man, is real. It's talking about shamanism, ancient American shamanism, and it's so deep because I wasn't even thinking about a mushroom when I was reading shit like this. You know what I'm saying? And I was traversing the mounds in Ohio, mind you, maybe doing mild experimentation, but nothing deep into the mycology like I am now. But at the same time, I could easily say that the mushrooms was guiding me even then when I was just traversing the mounds and traveling to each and every mound that I could in Ohio, you know. And then to study this book about the shamans that's connected to the mounds, the way that they really connected to the mounds was through the mycology. So it's like more so like the mound could easily be like a statue of a mushroom for real, far as we know. But I say all of this to say that alter states and communicating with spirits is real. And I like to write about shit like that. If you like to read about shit like that, you should really join my Substack. It's free. Or you could buy the $5 premium subscription. You know what I'm saying? Um, really about to get fixated and focused on serving the premium members. So it's only $5 a month, $55 for the whole entire year. But the the truth is, I lost my damn tarot cards. I don't know where the fuck they went, and I don't just be going deck to deck to deck. So really, I just gotta fixate and focus on getting me a certified deck that I can start doing monthly readings again. Um, like I got tarot cards, but I wouldn't be doing monthly readings with those cards. Monthly reading cards is generally something that have to be ritualized and specialized for that particular purpose, and I lost them. But it's been on my heart and mind to get some new cards, so be looking forward to that if you're a premium subscriber on the Substack. And for those of y'all that are free, Uh, I hope that y'all are able to read these articles that I'm putting out and get something from them, because the reality of these articles is that I'm putting on that gets me to the present article that I just put out, a couple of hours ago, in reference to the humiliation ritual is over. So, my notes is from years of experience, but also just, you know, relearning things. And if it's a word that I don't know, to the etymology of it, to where everything that I'm doing on this article is making sense of it, and then I feel like I'm making sense of the cosmology, I'm making sense of the world. So it would be completely ironic that a lunar eclipse will happen at the same time as Trump goes into a world war, right? Those two things have nothing to do with each other in a secularist mind state, you know? But when you're talking about the Bible, when you're talking about mythology, when you're talking about history, and they're talking about blood moons, and I can personally bear witness to working with a blood moon, because God is powerful. God will have you working a third shift job, not even a third shift job, but make you get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, catching a bus, right, to Saks Fifth Avenue to be a janitor at Saks Fifth Avenue. But one morning you wake up and you look and you see that the motherfucking moon is turning red. But at that particular time in your life, you feeling like, damn, can shit get any worse? Can shit get any harder? But I swear that at my lowest moment in my life, I experienced the blood moon, and I've only ascended from that point. Whether it's just in the relationship that I have with God, because a blood moon is a point in time where humans have to reckon their authority with that of God. Okay? So an ant might feel like the king of the world until he fucking gets stepped on, he gets stepped on by a nigga. Then it's like there's nothing a motherfucker can do. Humans, when God looks down on this earth, he don't see a mighty human that's doing incredible shit. And then you gotta actually think about this world. This world is not an invention of the ego. If you look at the ego as just your children, you motherfuckers wake up, want McDonald's, ice cream, candy, video games, right? Oh, not my baby. Okay. But in general, the, the child is the ego. And ultimately, if you let a child be a Fortune 500 CEO, he doesn't even have the capability to do so. So humans don't have the capability to govern the moon and the stars. We no matter what we fucking Elon Musk can send a rocket ship or make us think he's sending a rocket ship to here and there, but we as humans take these times to say, oh, God is in control. I was fucking tripping, right? And so doing this type of research, it's like so refreshing and it's so purposeful. And I hope that you just simply click the link in the description and join the Substack. And then, with YouTube, right? I might go live. They ain't gonna let y'all niggas know. They is not gonna let y'all niggas know. Motherfucker said a hope and a prayer. Nigga woke up on the right side of the bed today to get access to these goddamn videos. This shit is turning into a vault on YouTube, but it's all good. Join the Substack, and every time I go live, you will be emailed, and you can watch it from the Substack app, or you can just click over to YouTube because you'll know I'll be live. So shout out to y'all. Make sure y'all like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, for whatever that's worth. Nigga can have 13,000 subscribers and they show that shit to 10 motherfuckers. So it's niggas with millions of subscribers. They'll post a video and have 10 views. So what's the worth of a subscriber if they ain't gonna let y'all know that we even got content out? But that's not even why we're here. You here because woke up on the right side of the bed today and you want to get into this information. So what I'm gonna do is get into it. So exhaustive research into this title, The Humiliation Ritual is Over. And when I say exhaustive research, I mean spiritual transmission, spiritual communication. It was like one of those things where the word humiliation ritual entered my mind probably a month ago, and I've been saying it and seeing it ever since. I said, "Oh shit, motherfuckers went on a full humiliation ritual." And Diddy, like motherfuckers be like, "No Diddy," and it's a joke to these kids now, but people don't understand. Diddy was once well respected in music and pop culture. Now he's a joke. That's a humiliation ritual. And so, what is a humiliation ritual? When your ego is tested. And the thing is, who could and what could and why would they test a person's ego? Because there are limits and there are boundaries. So, a humiliation ritual for a child is like a punishment. Like, you gotta go to your room for a week or some shit like that. That feels like humiliation ritual. It's not to destroy the child, it's to correct the child and understand boundaries. Because when we equate our personal success to our personal effort and our personal merit, that's the same as an ego saying, I flew for miles and miles and miles because I had the strongest wings on the block. When ego can say that shit, but a scientist will say, no, this motherfucker hopped on the current and the current just bet that motherfucker was just gliding. It's basically like the nigga took a train in the air. I mean, he might have strong wings, but at the same time, it's a current that's assisting you in getting from point A to point B. Such is life. To get to the point that you're at now, there have been so many people working in your favor, working with you, working against you. You wouldn't even realize, you wouldn't even know. So when we say the humiliation ritual is over, this is just Masonic or secret society or occult or spiritual seeker terminology. Whereas when we're trying to figure things out, we gotta incorporate the spirit and the physical in our everyday life. And whenever we get too ego centered, we gotta bring ourselves back into check because you either in control, you making all the decisions, you know everything that's right for you. God ain't real. You know what I'm saying? You got it. You know what I'm saying? And everything that I'm talking about, mumbo jumbo, right? But if you feel that there is an intelligent design, there is a higher power, and the higher power doesn't intercede in your life to just whisk you away. You know what I'm saying? On a bed of roses. The higher power, in essence, wants to test your purity, test your heart, right? So if you don't understand or even understand that, I understand that this conversation wouldn't be for you. But to explain the cover art in a sense of the Illuminati or secret society, there is a particular initiation or ritual that have been told over and over and over again. To summarize it, the initiate is blindfolded and he is meant to uh, feel like he is about to die, But right before that moment, he is being the blindfold is being removed, and the reality is you are going to die. So, with this knowledge being understood and understood, how are you going to live your life moving forward outside of the fear of this? Because you've overcame that fear through the humiliation ritual. Because before the humiliation ritual, your boundaries was out of whack. You didn't even understand or understand that spirituality was real or whatever the case may be. But an initiate is going through this ritual, and then he's coming to an awareness of life is real, and also I'm an important component to this whole entire thing. So how am I like so it also brings up a level of shadow work in short sentence. The highest level of you that you hope to be, it wants to show up. Can you see that within yourself? Can you see yourself being the highest level that you possibly could be and willing to put in the work? Because the ritual is kind of like, yeah, it's not going to be easy, but if you work towards it, it could definitely happen because it's more centered on you. So, once again, if you're ready to, you know, unify and understand who you are at the most deepest spiritual level, coming across in real times, in real terms with that, like, and creating that over a 9 year period, like, just having a simple idea at this particular point is enough. Like, where do you see yourself in 9 years, right? Is a very key question, a key proposition, even down to the day that the full moon takes place. It happens on March 3rd. So when you look at 3 times 3, that equals 9, right? This full moon lunar eclipse, it takes place in the second decan of Leo. The card that rules the second decan of Leo is the Six of Wands. 3 plus 3 is 6. So 6 and 9 is basically the same number. But when you get into the deeper numerologies of things, you're really into the system of self sufficiency, self knowledge, procreation, understanding and understanding the power center for which it is you, right? So I want y'all to really sit back and imagine if you went to school and they told you everything about you. One's in the chat if you feel what I'm saying when I say this, right? Because I know people can get it's 29 slides and we on slide number 2. So the information is going to get dense and I'm just summarizing it. But at the same time, can you imagine a world where every day you went to school, they told you about you? Okay? That's what I'm trying to do. Okay? So the difference between you going to school and they telling you about fucking Calvin Coolidge, Abraham Lincoln, Jacques Cousteau, you know what I'm saying? You know all about these motherfuckers, but you don't know about you. Okay? To which, how do you intensify and magnify God's energy into your life? The time is now. How do you know the time is now? Because if you are, say you got a magnifying glass, so it's basically like this. The image is like a magnifying glass that's moving around the ecliptic that has to totally sync up with the planets. When you shine the light through the magnifying glass, the energy intensifies, which is why they declared war during this time, because we understand our our ethics in astrology is 3 days before, 3 days after. Okay, This is the warning. The real shit is gonna happen March 3rd, okay? And the reason they gonna do this shit is because of a lunar eclipse. The lunar eclipse is not gonna be the reason that it's happening because of Trump. So Trump or and I'ma tell you this, everything that that man stand for is a fucking psyop that have to do like the people that he that he that he strike. I ain't going. I can't. I don't really want to get into those waters. But those that know, the people that he is attacking Iran on behalf of is the reason that he exists. And it have all since the beginning, inception of him being an actual nigga that people looked at as a president. He have been funded and supported by these people. But the ways for which they organize their shit is through biblical narrative. Not because biblical narrative is supreme, but because biblical narrative steals from the cosmology and then doesn't tell the people that they're utilizing the cosmology and tells the people, yeah, go to a goddamn church or temple and give 10% and worship and dogma, and we're going to actually organize things based upon new moon and full moon cycles. We're going to intensify our rituals during the lunars and solar eclipses. And I say all of this to say, you are a religion unto yourself because God lives within you. You are the temple. So if you don't understand and overstand, it's time to get into your meditations. It's time to get into your rituals. It's time to get into your journaling. It's time to get into your intention setting. Because none of this shit that I'm saying about Trump and them is scaring me. I'm just understanding they utilizing the same shit that I'm trying to utilize. They trying to get their shit going. I'm trying to get my shit going too. Okay? And we all got to get our shit going and shit. I'm feeling like my shit is going. You know, I'm feeling great for it. But I'm definitely, it ain't me. It's the awareness of the energy. Just want to give a ashe to Saint Expedite. You can't really fuck with Saint Expedite, right, and not give him a shout out. So I got my Saint Expedite, got my offering. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't find no pound cake. I got some 7-Up cake for Saint Expedite. So if you got some shit tied up, you want some shit to come quick, get you a Saint Expedite candle. Get that boy a piece of cake, okay? I'm just telling you, niggas be frustrated about things not going their way, but then don't want to do nothing spiritual. So when we look at this particular lunar eclipse, the 1.0 magnitude of it, that's a total eclipse. This particular lunar eclipse is 1.15, meaning that it's 15% more totaler, okay? Who knew it could be that much totaler, but it is. It's going to be completely immersed in the Earth's shadow. And when this happens, as you can see on this particular picture, that gray circle is the Earth's shadow. The moon is going to be completely immersed. So when the sun shines through the Earth at night, on night side, which will happen in North America, we will be able to see it if you live in North America, right? During the nighttime, the moon becomes completely red. So another interesting concept that I was researching, as I just previously stated, the umbra and the magnitude. Like I said, I be seeing these words, but I don't really know what they mean. So I was like, what the fuck is an umbra? An umbra is an earth shadow, right? And the earth shadow is like what we don't study in astrology. So ultimately, when you look at a lunar eclipse and you try to dwindle it down to a metaphysical understanding and overstanding, you're talking about your actual shadow. And so the powerful things about the universe is that it's like it will give you the numerology when you don't need. I'm not even a numerologist, but the numerology on this goddamn full moon lunar eclipse, it is amazing, right? It is amazing. So it's just like you just gotta accept it in the many ways that it comes. Because I think a true numerologist is when you're not a numerologist and those numbers be coming. Like, I don't get into that. And you just keep seeing 1, 2, 3, 4. You just keep seeing 1, 2, 3, 4. You just keep seeing 1, 2, 3, 4. And you better take notice of it. Right. And so I've always been this type of person where it's like, well, I'm like very logical, probably empathetic more than I am logical for real. So the numbers is real. They don't got no empathy. They don't really talk much either. It's just you got to get these calculations. So even down to um, so it's 2026, which is a 1 year. The magnitude of this lunar eclipse is 1.15. 1 plus 5 is 6. Right? The lunar eclipse happens on March 3rd. That's 3 3. 3 plus 3 is 6. 3 plus 3 is 6. 2026 is a 1 year, right? It's like when you start, like I was really bugging out. And then when you start to think about the 6 being a 9, it really shows up a lot in this particular lunar eclipse breakdown. So just to simplify it for those in the back, total lunar eclipse is happening. A blood moon occurring March 3rd, 2026, which is going to be visible in North America. The magnitude or umbral magnitude or earth shadow, the magnitude is the power, right? 1.1 is total immersion, meaning this is 1.15, meaning the moon will be 15% deeper into the earth's darkest shadow than the minimum for totality. The mechanism that occurs as the moon moves completely into the earth's shadow or umbra. And so what will the moon look like on March 3rd? The moon will take on a distinct darkened red hue, during total immersion. So the Bible references the blood moon more than once, more than twice, but I'll just show two references that they basically say the same thing. So Joel 2:31, the sun shall be turned into darkness, the moon into blood, before the great and terrible day of the Lord come. And beheld, when he had opened the sixth seal, lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as a sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood. What this is saying to me is that the Bible is going to bear witness a blood moon as a significant day. And when we reference that to religion or cosmology, we're relinquishing control. We understand God through these particular things, right? Because every day you can go throughout your life and you be like, man, I don't know. Especially if you're on YouTube, like I'm on YouTube and seeing that true crime shit. So, as I was saying, I feel that people say, or I feel that the Bible uses the blood moon to indicate God's authority, indicate time and place. And the only way you can cross correlate time and place and authority is through astrology. So when we understand astrology, it's not as we're understanding anything man made until you deal with Western astrology, which is a distortion and a convolution of the original concept of astrology. So like the 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 original astrology is observation, right? And then that observation gets broken to interpretation. And from interpretation, you can have control of the masses. So when people start to awakening is understanding sidereal astrology is more aligned with observation than tropical astrology. And therefore, you're going to be condemned by the masses because the reality is people don't want you to get closer to God. What is God? God is an intelligent designer. In order to design, you have to design through mathematics, right? You can't design through emotion. You can't. You have to design through proportion, through understanding, and really the creation of a human being in a world of ice, in a world of woolly mammoths, saber-toothed tigers, lions, you know, Komodo dragons, all types of beasts, and human beings was able to not only survive but thrive and reign supreme. The Neanderthal, you know, like the Bible talks about, you know, with David and Goliath, within us is something that goes more into the creation of us from an intrinsic, intelligent space that we're not able to really tap into because when we go to school, they're telling us about what they want to tell us. They're not telling us about us, right? We don't get the science of how David defeated Goliath, right? More or less, we don't get the science of how to survive in the world if we don't have a home, how to survive in the cold, how to survive in the wilderness, how to defend yourself against wolves, bobcats, coyotes, things of that nature, how to survive against these niggas, these Bloods and these Crips. But you're going to go to school and they're going to tell you about Thomas Jefferson, right? They're not going to actually tell you about you and your full capabilities. And the more that we get conditioned, the more that we'll see the breakdown of the world because everybody can bear witness to that if you have lived long enough, you've also seen the collapse of a civilization. Neighborhoods that once used to thrive, you know, they don't even exist no more. They're just uh, uh, skeletons of themselves because something is not helped. Something is in the water into whereas we're not teaching the people about themselves. But I'm talking about hands down, you can't argue or debate me on this particular point. Motherfuckers are sending their kids to school to get taught what? Are your kids being taught about themselves? Are your kids learning about themselves? Or they're learning a curriculum? So your schools, so they can. I bet you it's March going into April. Your kids got to worry about state testing at this particular point in time of their school year. Because their reasoning for being in that motherfucker is to do well on these goddamn state tests so that school can continue to get the funding. The state test is based upon not necessarily a curriculum, but based upon a mandate of what's going to be on this test and what students got to know on this test. And it's a game. And you put your kids in the middle of that, right? School is a humiliation ritual. And at the end of it, you get a cap and gown, fully indoctrinated into a system that isn't you. I don't care what it is, it's not you. Why must you learn about everything in the world except yourself? So the ways for which I tend to teach people about themselves is through the stars, right? Because Aleister Crowley famously stated, every man and every woman is a star. The sidereal placements of the lunar eclipse are in the fire sign Leo moon, while the sun is in the air sign of Aquarius. And this full moon is going to be mediated by Jupiter. So when a planet mediates a full moon, first of all, a full moon is tension, right? If you connect point A to point B and you stretch it to the furthest it can stretch in the ecliptic, which is 180 degrees, that is the degree of the sun and moon. So what at one level I'm talking about astrology, but in real time I'm talking about real life. What you mean you talking about real life? Because when the sun is 180 degrees opposite of the moon in the sky, right? And the moon is conjunct the south node, which is the earth shadow, the sun is going to shine directly through the earth because the moon is a satellite of the earth, and the moon is going to appear red. So that tension, it exists. Now, at a particular point, it sextiles the moon and it trines the sun. So Jupiter is at an angle where that tension can be mediated. So say for instance, right, you need to get a message across and you trying to yell it. Wouldn't it be much easier if you had a phone? Now, the phone isn't biased, it's just delivering a message. So for each, now I'm teaching you about you, right? Through the stars, okay? You have a moon, right? Which is a personal self, a private self, a home self. You also have a public self, a place where you are at work or at the grocery store. Very rarely do these two people meet. Now, especially during a full moon, that's why the most hospital visits is during a full moon because people are quote unquote crazy. Even if you look up the word lunacy, the first word is luna, lunar, right? The freaks come out at night. The freaks come out at night, right? Niggas get so freaky at night. They were so you ever be at work with a motherfucker and the nighttime roll around and they turn into a whole different person? You like, get me out of here. I don't even know this motherfucker. Right? Most people, they sun and they moon never meet. Some people, they sun and they moon is the same person. Right? And that is usually when you're born on a new moon or you just evolve to fully embrace who you are at night and during the day. But the level of consciousness that Jupiter represents is your ability to expand, your ability to progress. So as we look at this lunar eclipse that is a high magnitude of energy, you also have Jupiter playing a pivotal role of saying, instead of y'all being so distant, I'll be the communicator in reference to some people is very much progressed in a public life and not progressed in a personal life. So many people that get readings are progressed in a public life, right? But as a Vedic astrologer by trade, the first thing that I'm talking about is the moon, and it's hitting them like a ton of bricks because people actually think that success, money, house, car is all that they gotta do. But then when it's like Ralph Transvant first single off his self-titled debut, sometimes you need a man with sensitivity. Niggas don't got that quotient. They just got the money. They just got the outer quality. And it hit double worse when the woman come to it where she got the success, she got the career, and she trying to come up with plans to get more money. More, and I gotta get her with the Biggie. More money, more problems, sis. That's what Biggie was talking about actually. More money, more problems. You need to go back into your moon side of things, your personal, because you can't be devoid of that, right? What sign does the moon rule? Cancer. Cancer is the home, right? A house is where a heart is where the home is, and things of that nature. That's just not conjecture. That's actual real shit. To be at your house and it be a source of peace, a source of charge, of recharge, of positive joy and vigor. Not because you bought it, but because it's a nigga in there, because it's a woman in there. And y'all, like, it's different being in the house by yourself, not because you got to pay all the bills by yourself, but think of it as an energy generator, right? Because you got the moon, which is your negative charge, and you also have your sun, which is your positive charge. And we all got these charges within us, but some is more dominant, meaning a man have more testosterone and a woman might have more estrogen. But when you unify those energies, it's like you pick up where I'm lacking and I pick up where you lacking, and that's how this shit's supposed to go, right? But ultimately, we cut off from that because we go to school and they don't teach us about ourselves. When you go to school, they teach you about Woodrow Wilson. Who was the 59th president, Billy? Ah, you got that incorrect, Billy. You got an F on your report card. You didn't know who Andrew Wilson was. Tis, 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 Billy. You're not a social studies phenomenon. Poor Billy. So let's look at the chart from a perspective. So let's look at the moon conjunct the south node. And the nodes are powerful because whenever you have a moon conjunct a south node, which is going to be the Earth shadow, right? And then the sun conjunct, well, that was the south node. This is the sun is conjunct the north node. So this conjunction to the node on the astrology chart is always going to represent an eclipse, whether a solar eclipse or a lunar eclipse. The reason why is because the planets are going to be interacting with the Earth's shadow. Now, the Earth's shadow, interesting play on words when we deal with the energies of three, right? Because what is the shadow of three? Well, three. What is three plus three? Six, right? Well, okay. What's today? March 3rd. What's the numerology of March 3rd? 3 3. Oh, okay. Cool. Right? But it's like, to me, that shit is crazy because when you look at the sun in a north node, it is the sun in the shadow. It's like the mirror. The north node just acts as a mirror, as an energetic portal to whereas people are going to be talking about lunar eclipse and this, that, and the third. But it's like, dog, whatever a nigga talk about, you just going to have to marvel at God's intelligent design. Because I can show you from an astrological chart that is going to be a full moon or a lunar eclipse, and then NASA is talking about it, space.com is talking about it, right? And to me, it is something that humans just have to bear witness to. Like whether we live in a simulation or what, we just going to have to exist in that particular paradigm at this particular point because we didn't create it. So the goal for me is to understand it and understand myself through it. But as I learn, I also teach. The mediator planet, excuse me, that I was talking about is Jupiter in the third decan at 20 degrees marks of Gemini. Presently in retrograde. Retrograde in literal terms just means closer, right? So Jupiter is closer to the planet. With this being said, Jupiter is acting as a mediator to this particular energy by sextiling the moon. Sextile is more tied into effort, energy, but a guaranteed result. And to trine to the sun in this area, well, upper right, upper left corner, conjunct the north node. A trine is more centered in just a ease, or a natural flow. And sometimes the energy could be so natural that you don't take awareness to, and that generally happens, right? Most people have a lot of talent that they don't fully exploit or explore because there isn't enough tension. But it all gets reconciled during this particular full moon lunar eclipse based upon the sun opposed the moon. That's all of the tension that you need to really fixate and focus and access one's spiritual gifts if you really want to get into it. So the nakshatra of this full moon is the Purva Falguni. Now, a nakshatra is something that we utilize in Vedic astrology as a way to explain the moon sign in reference to the fixed star that it's aligned with. And so there's 27 major fixed stars aligned with particular constellations that when the moon falls in these particular areas, we can understand and overstand the moon's energy. And being an astrologer, I don't know why all of these things correlate and correspond perfectly the more that I study it, but I just know that it does. And so one of the key symbols to Purva Falguni is the Shiva Lingam, referencing the yasad or the sexual organs. Okay? More or less, right? These are not talking about the literal sexual organs, but more as a metaphor for generative and creative powers. So what am I talking about? So say for instance, trying to explain something, and I'm like, man, that's just like a penis and a vagina. When you put them together, you're able to start it. And you like, huh? Well, maybe if I put the key into ignition, then I can start the car. And be like, yeah, that's what I was trying to explain. I just couldn't verbalize it. Like, cause somebody was like, how do we get this motherfucking car to start? And the nigga just probably correlated a sexual situation and said, I'm gonna stick this key into this lock. And if you didn't think about it consciously, a key and a lock is the same. It's like the same thing, kind of, sort of, right? So analogies, right? Analogies for creation or procreation. Purva Falguni is about prosperity. It's about, being at a important level of just overall success. So the moon representing in a personal sense is having true home success or true personal success in a way where your finances is together, enjoyment, creation, sexual pleasure, relaxation, generosity, laziness, charisma. I think one of the things about this nakshatra, especially reading about it, is that it's more or less teaching people that success ain't from working from it. If you look at all of these particular things and I read through it again, these things aren't from working a 9 to 5. Creation, enjoyment, sexual, unless you a 304 on that boulevard, most people don't get sexual pleasure from their job. And if it's a dude that's getting sexual pleasure from his job, is y'all hiring? Send me an application. If your job is real relaxating, where you go to that motherfucker and relax, send me an application. If your job is extremely generous, I'm talking about generosity, send me an application. If I can be lazy at your job, send me an application. And if your job is looking for charisma, then I might as well consider myself hired on the goddamn spot. You feel what I'm saying? I mean, I don't even got to go to the damn interview at this point. And I'm saying all of this to say, none of these qualities have nothing to do with work. Yet these are human qualities. Okay? And one would say, if you worked and you had a nice job and you had a nice car and you was able to do whatever you wanted to do, but you wasn't able to create. You had no enjoyment. You had no sexual pleasure. You wasn't able to relax. Nobody in your life was generous. You know what I'm saying? You wasn't able to just be lazy. You don't know what it felt like to be charismatic or to be charismatic upon. Like nobody was doting on you, calling you, saying, "Hey, handsome." You know what I'm saying? You just was rich and lived in the middle of Russia. So you know what I'm saying? With no homes. You just you in the snow. You know what I'm saying? I don't think a nigga is just going to just be feeling like they conquered the world at that point. So the ruler of Pura Falgani is Venus. So in all of this is to help us understand astrology in a way that we might have not understood it as clearly as before. Because people will talk about Venus as being a planet of beauty and luxury and blah blah blah, and it'll be like, okay, Venus. But from this perspective, if you remove Venus or the divine feminine outside of life, what is life really about? Now, when you go to school, are they teaching you about these types of things? And if they was teaching you these types of things, I'm sure you would be taking your kid up out that school immediately, right? What you mean? You know what I'm saying? So obviously, these are parts of life that we should be taught about. But when is the right time to talk to your kid about sex? Everybody got different answers, right? And then are we teaching our kids how to enjoy life, how to enjoy themselves, how to enjoy their time? Are we teaching their kids? Are we teaching our kids how to be relaxed? Are we putting our kids into more? You better da 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 da. You know what I'm saying? Like it. One of these type. These are things in life that you gonna have to learn sooner or later, and I can almost guarantee you don't learn Venusian qualities from your household. And the crazy part about it, if you're not going to learn it from your house, where you going to learn how to be uh fully imbued in the Venusian mysteries, the mysteries of sex, love, companionship, sensuality, right? Mutual submission, things of that nature. People just exist in a world where it's full masculine. It's like, yeah, you got you a girl, you know what I'm saying? But what a part of the Venusian mysteries does she partake in? Or you as a man, like, you read 50-50 on these bills, so, the 14th, That's when this shit is due. I don't want you coming in here talking about you tired. I want that motherfucking 1,500. This motherfucking rent 3,000. You think she about to fall? Ladies, y'all gonna fall in love with a nigga like that? Listen, that shit come on the 14th. I mean, I love you. and I love you forever, but if you don't pay these bills on the 14th, we got a 50-50 relationship. Okay? We splitting these bills down the middle. I don't see how that actually works. Is that that just sounds crazy? A nigga just saying that to you. So let's get into why I feel as though the humiliation ritual is over. Now, historically, a humiliation ritual it's the 14th of the fucking month. I love you. You my baby girl. We gonna be together forever. We got kids. But it's the goddamn 14th, Sharice. We need that fucking money. We 50-50. Now, god damn it. I read about this shit in Oprah. Why is that even an argument? That just sounds so crazy. In the when do y'all discuss this? Like during the first date? When you drop it on her? So I feel like you attractive. You the girl for me. But we gonna have to split these bills 50-50 down the middle. Down the middle. It just seems right. I'm telling you, people do not go to school and they teach people about themselves. You gotta learn about goddamn Benjamin Franklin before you learn about your damn self. And it's a humiliation ritual. The humiliation ritual is a sacred window in which the ego is humbled and tested, forced into the ultimate realization that is not in control. Within our society, systems such as legal, educational, and medical fields often act as occult facilitators of these rituals, unbeknownst to the public. We see this when individuals are tried and acquitted, diagnosed only to emerge healthier than before, or labeled as deficient, slow, only to discover that they're actually geniuses later in life. These experiences are not mere accidents. There are essential trials the ego must endure to finally seek the assistance of the higher self. So when we discuss the humiliation ritual, it's for anybody who have told you that you ain't shit because of a particular system, right? A judge can say you guilty, a teacher can say you stupid, a doctor can say you sick, but at the same time, none of these people are God. I mean, it could be a jury of 12 people, and I'm not saying that they could be right, but at the end of the day, you don't wake up every morning with a sign on your forehead saying you're this, that, and the third. Especially if you really take time to go into the inner dimensions within yourself. See, since nobody told you about yourself, you don't know how you can travel to different dimensions in the external world through yourself. When you understand the cyclical nature of reality, the true you gains the power to build, destroy, and rebuild with intention. In this context, the study of Brahma, which is creation, Vishnu, which is preservation, preservation, Shiva, which is destruction, becomes more than just a theology. It becomes a necessary component of spiritual hygiene. You can't just keep doing the same shit. And if you are to keep doing the same shit, make sure you preserving it. Make sure you keeping that motherfucker clean, right? But ultimately, all systems have to be destroyed to enter into a new creation, a new beginning. This is spiritual hygiene. So now the other side of this is a nigga who don't never take a bath. You would never say, "Oh, that nigga ain't took a bath in 10 years. That nigga is the hottest nigga ever." That's what niggas do, be quoting that old ass spiritual shit. You know, and it's cool. You don't live by that shit though. Sometimes you gotta let that shit go. Sometimes you gotta let it go, come back to you. You know what I'm saying? That's what all the spiritual shit is about. Motherfucker be like, we'll be like, man, I ain't listened to you in years. I don't care. You ain't. I mean, that's how it goes. Niggas come and go. You know. I mean, it just how this shit is. If I've been doing this shit for years, I've seen niggas come and go. Right? Spiritual hygiene. If a person open and run a church and people come and go from his church, he ain't about to go chasing the motherfuckers. Hey, where y'all going? Come back. I mean, it's a big, huge world out here. It's a huge internet. It's places to go and people to see. And I'm talking about spiritual hygiene. You gotta let shit go. And you gotta preserve the things that are worth preserving. But if you ain't got nothing, you need to create some more shit. And sometimes the only way you go from Shiva to Brahma is through Shiva. So we just bringing up the concept of three, which is the Trimurti. Then you have the Trinity. Then you have, the basic witchcraft, mother, father, son, or mother, father, child. If you are a human being, you are a result of two people. Therefore, you can't just be a one person. One person don't exist. You are your mom and dad, and you are the child of your mom and dad. So three equates to one. But three is three. You wouldn't say, I am my mom, I am my dad. We understand those three different people. But that three is a real powerful number. And all three of y'all have a shadow. So we're understanding this particular test, which is, a good movie to watch is Us. Testing is merely a season, not a permanent state, as this is the first lunar eclipse of a one universal year. This timing is precise. Now, full moons signify the completion of old cycles. This is a lunar eclipse. A lunar eclipse is a magnified completion of an old cycle. All cycles at this particular level, especially when the cycle is reaching its end, is tired and worn out. All cycles in a righteous spiritual hygiene, like you clean yourself when you dirty, you know, that dirt, it don't represent something that was good. That's getting cleaned away. It represents something that needs to be cleaned away. Nobody said, "Oh my God, why is this dirt leaving my body?" No. I'm like, damn, I'm cleaned up. I feel better now that I'm clean. And so sometimes during a humiliation ritual, because you got the pride of the ego, you don't even realize you're going through a humiliation ritual. Motherfuckers be going to school and they be like, y'all feel good about knowing all 58 presidents. Y'all feel good about knowing the mathematical roots of a square. And then you meet a shorty, you start telling her the mathematical roots of a square, and she looking at you like, okay. No, but the perpendicular of the square is just geometrically opposed. It's just so amazing. They didn't teach you how to connect to your divine feminine in school, did they? You had to learn that from what? A nigga like Andrew Tate online. Now you went from a perpendicular to a square. Now you at top G, and the hoes is just confused at this point. They just want you to be yourself, connect to them at emotional level. But school didn't teach these niggas that. These niggas got straight A's in that motherfucker with a degree, bachelor's, master's. Girl be like, "Can you hold me at night?" Like, what part of the test was that? I didn't take an exam on that. Hold you? Yeah, hold me. Damn. Why my school ain't teach me that? The humiliation ritual was never designed to destroy you. It was designed to strip away the illusions of ego to bring you into direct alignment with your higher self. Because the most powerful component of three, in my personal opinion, is that of mind, body, and soul. Right? Mind, body, and soul. So when I hear about like humiliation rituals, the one that I always think about, maybe y'all haven't heard about it, maybe you have, is that of the Lindo man. And I'm like, these niggas was really serious about their rituals back in the day. But I always come to this, man, for some reason. And then I was reading it again today, and I'm like, damn, was this me? Because his body was found in 1984. I was born in 1984. When I tell you I resonate with this shit so much, bro, it'd be crazy. The Druid Prince, the Lindo man, a 20,000-year-old preserved body in Lindo Moss, Cheshire, England in 1984. I tell people all the time, my past life I was a white man. They be like, "Why you say that, hood? I don't got no damn rhythm. I can't dance at all, man." And I know all black people they can dance. So I'm like, damn, how come I can't? I had to be a white man in the past life. That's just how I be feeling about it. Anyways, believed to be a high ranking druid or Celtic aristocrat, was sacrificed around 60 CE, possibly to appease the gods during a Roman invasion. His method of sacrifice, the threefold death. Back to those threes, right? March 3, the third day, lunar eclipse. Well, he was struck on the head, he was strangled with a cord, and placed face down in a bog and effectively drowned. This was a classic Celtic ritualistic triple death. The victim was a mid 20s healthy nobleman, well groomed hands, with little sign of manual labor, indicating high social status, and the purpose of the sacrifice believed to be a desperate, possibly voluntary sacrifice to halt the advancing Roman army, right? And so they're trying to connect to the gods through these rituals. And I was just like, you know, I always put myself in the mindset of the dude that's willingly going along with it. Like you just living your life and your people come to you like, it's time. You like, it's time? Yeah, bro, it's time. We have to sacrifice you so we can appease the gods. It's like, and from the like the way that his body was preserved, they was able to do like tests. You know what I'm saying? So he wasn't like he wasn't fear. It wasn't fear at this particular time. It was like a willingness to do it. And to me, like that's the extreme level of it. But it's like to be willing to die for something, right? That is powerful to me, right? Because I don't think I could personally do it now. You know what I'm saying? I love my kids, my wife, all that. Like I don't know if I could just do. I don't know. You know, I'll die protecting them for sure. But a ritual sacrifice to Zeus, I don't think I could do that. You know what I'm saying? I don't think I'm that strong. I, but I'm just throwing that in there because it's these threes that keep coming up. So how I view it is the trimurte and yin and yang as a combined force or energy. So the yin and yang is the moon, but the yin and yang is also like a shadow type doubling figure to whereas you have your dark side of the moon, your light side of the moon. So one equals two, or it could be a multiplier. And then the trimurte is Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, which are just capabilities of the human. The human can create, the human can preserve, and the human can destroy, right? But each of those sides of you have a shadow. What I mean by each of those sides of you have a shadow is a part of you that's telling you what you should do, right? You should create, you should preserve, or you should destroy, right? And operating within your shadow is like I should create, and you do that, then you're good. But it's like I should create, but I'm gonna sit here and watch Netflix. I should preserve, or I'm gonna ruin this relationship. I should destroy, or I'm gonna try to keep it together. I'm gonna just try to work this job for 2 more years because it pays so well, right? But your spirit been telling you to quit. You don't quit. That's your shadow. It's, every human being have a shadow. One's in the chat. If you have somebody within you that's telling you what you should or shouldn't do, right? If you have something within you that's telling you don't fuck with that nigga look dangerous, girl, you do it anyway. And some weird shit happen off. That's the proof that you have a shadow. But sometimes motherfuckers don't know if the stove is hot until you touch it. So if you could bear witness to something within you telling you, I should go do this, but I don't do it. So at this particular age, I I listen to myself at all times. A motherfucker can tell me anything, and I already don't give a fuck because I already heard it from myself. Right or wrong. Right or wrong. I'll be sitting there loud and wrong. Nigga be like, where you get that from? My higher self. You gonna argue with me? Your higher self don't know what he talking about and don't. So what? We still standing on it. We standing on it. So the trimurte is just an allegory or a metaphysical correlation to who we are, but you have to institute that yin and yang because it's always going to be double-sided, two-sided, right? So a deeper reality of this full moon, lunar eclipse, and the numerology is the three and the three. March 3rd, right? But also 3 plus 3 is 6. 3 times 3 equals 9. 9 equates to the totality of a cycle, right? 6 is sex. Now, if a woman had to get pregnant, unless she was a test tube baby, 10 times out of 10 she has sex. And that sex created a 9-month incubation period that created life. And you can use these formulas to create things in your life. A popular thing in metaphysics, esoterics, is the science of 369. Right? So writing things 3 times, writing it 6 times, writing it 9 times, that's a universal harmonic. So guess what the powers that were going to do? They want to get niggas into full false flag event, SOS, everybody talking about this, that, and the third. Because at the end of the day, when niggas was going through whatever the fuck was going through in 2008, 2020, 2000, whatever the fuck, you could have been working on your motherfucking self. You ain't have to never get caught up in nothing of the shit that they was doing. They just utilizing astrological principles to get you into a state where you confused on how to move forward. And I say all of this to say it's time for you to use astrological principles to start writing shit down. Get into the universal harmonics of the situation. Now, this is the numerology of the lunar eclipse. For people that don't like, well, what do the numbers do? What do the numbers mean? It's hard for me to fully explain it, but I'm going to try my best through these next set of slides, all right? I'm going to try to correlate it and connect it, all right? So I fucks with y'all. Y'all fucks with me. Fucks with each other. Pause to everybody took that the wrong way. So here is the paradigm of 6 and 9. So all magicians, all metaphysicians should know this when they're going into magical workings. Just because you are right does not mean I am wrong. You just haven't seen life from my side. So when you start talking to niggas online and you start telling them your truth, the first thing niggas do is tell you that you're wrong. You wrong for trying to prove them that you're right. They just would never know from their perspective. And when they look at the 6, they see a 9. And just because you can go over their side and see their perspective, don't mean they can come over your side and see your perspective. So guess what happens online a lot of times? Niggas gets to arguing and niggas gets to hearing perspectives, and this is what I see. I see a 6. I see a 9. Well, how can you see a 9 when I see a 6? And it's like, when you are a spiritualist, you got to get fixated on what you see. Because it's both of them. Okay? It's both of them. If I take off my glasses, I'm going to see a whole different world than when I put my glasses on. It just depends. Did you see a man? I seen a blur. What color was he wearing? I don't know. You was right there looking at him. I ain't have my glasses on. So it's a very important part, and it's ironic that the 6 and 9 is a visual example of perspective. So people then say, well, what do the numbers got to do with it? Why do I got to write things down 3 times, 6 times, 9 times? Why can't I just write it 5 times or 4 times? Because 6 and 9 don't deal with perspective. Well, 6 and 9 do deal with perspective. 4 and 5 don't deal with perspective. When you deal with perspective, guess what you're dealing with, guys? You're dealing with magic. So 6 and 9, which rules Cancer, which rules the moon. The moon is your magnetic principle. You attract everything in your life, whether you know it or not, through your perspective. So guess what? What if you believed in other people's perspective and you tried to acquiesce to it and it didn't work? Then that would be something that you have to get to the bottom of. What is your own personal perspective? Because obviously, every time that I try to do things that other people wanted or tried to get what other people had, it never worked for me. But when I started figuring out what I wanted from my personal point of view and I started living life on my terms, things started working out. There's a certain level of really seeing yourself and honor and acknowledge yourself and your perspective. And I'm talking about for the spiritualists. 6 and 9 represent perspective. 6 and 9, when you talk about your home could be whatever you think you'll imagine your home could be. It's your home, right? So your family dynamics, the type of woman that you can have, right? When this is a real thing, right? When you deal with your magnetic principle, right, and you want to deal with a certain type of level of partner, you're dealing with a level of partner, and it's like, they giving you their ass to kiss, right? They telling you like, oh, you're not good enough, and you need to do this, and I'm mad, and we arguing, and I'm cheating, and all this weird and crazy shit. They blocking your magnetism. They blocking your magnetic pull. Because your magnetic pull is going to pull you somebody in your life that's going to make your house a home, right? True love, all that shit. And if you in a life in a relationship right now where you gotta argue and fight and go through all types of weird, crazy shit with a motherfucker, you gotta get into your Shiva and destroy that shit. It's 2026. It's a 1 year. You not going, why would you create toxicity if you've been going through 9 years of toxic shit? This is what it's all about. It's about perspective. You can build something up in 9 years. You can manifest something great in 9 years. But you cannot transfer the old perspective. If I gotta argue with you about a 6 being a 9, bitch, you can go. Because we not gonna see eye to eye. I see a 6. You see a 9. We not going to see different. We People say, well, what do the numbers mean? The numbers, the numerology hood, it just don't never make no sense to me, hood. What the hell the numbers mean? The numbers mean that. Perspective. So we go back to our you see the moon is in the second, give me one second. The moon is in the second decan of Leo, right? The cards that rule Leo, the 5 of Wands, 6 of Wands, and the 7 of Wands. The 6 of Wands rules the second decan of Leo. So when you look at the 6 of Wands in the Thoth Tarot deck specifically, you will see 3 initiates doubles, right? It's 3 sticks or 3 staffs. Those staffs carried by ascended masters, Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, or uh, God, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. These particular things, mind, body, soul. When you see stuff like this, it's not for no reason, right? It's not just three random sticks laid upon one another. These are like specific messages encoded in the mysteries of the numerology of the six, which the flame or the fire, right, is a symbol of the six because flame, another word for flame is ardor, Ardor. Another way to understand ardor is through the word inflame, right? Inflame means to set the spirit on fire with passion or religious virtue. So when we understand or overstand the flames or the fire, it is that of a religious experience, right? And usually these concepts don't get uh, demonstrated in the waking mind. So the ways for which we can see fire is through the Holy Spirit or through a voodoo ritual dance or a girl in the middle of the club in 2003 when the DJ is just going crazy, spinning back-to-back hits, got her shaking her ass so much that she awakened her kundalini. Right? That's how you set the spirit on fire. So the spirit within a person is not really found in working. But if you know how to work them hips and work them lips and get a woman into a full level of orgasm, her spirit is being set on fire. That's what it looks like. Now, when you talk about, and these are aspects of human nature. So back to Porva Falguni, we talk about the creation, sexual pleasure, and all of this type of stuff. They don't teach you that in school, but you can actually set up your home in your life. Like you could actually be with somebody that make your life easier. They work with you, right? And y'all have amazing sex. Like you like it's fire, it's passion. But when you go to school, you're not setting yourself up to have a passionate relationship. You're not getting told how to really set yourself on fire. More or less, you getting taught how to suppress that. So when we're dealing with the six, we're dealing with the six IQ or the perfect man, right? Which is you, your spirit, your soul. It is the mind, body, and soul perfected by the shadow. What is the shadow? It's the part of you that's telling you what you need to do. If you listen to that, once in the chat, if you listen to yourself ever since you was a little kid, you'll be all right. You betrayed yourself. You was in the chat when you was a kid, you was like, I'm gonna be a firefighter. I'm gonna go to firefighter school. I'm gonna get a firefighter license. I'm gonna ride on a fire truck and save my mommy. You was on top of shit. You started hanging out with the niggas. You started going to the kickbacks. in the chill sessions. Niggas can like, what up, AJ? What happened to the firefighter school? Oh man, pass the blunt, man. I ain't on that shit. Deep down, you like, damn, I should have went to that damn firefighter school. But fuck it though. Fuck it. Fuck it. I'm a gangster now. And so, for niggas, it's a downward spiral. But it starts when you betray yourself that first point, and you just keep betraying yourself. Keep betraying yourself. And then a person will be like, well, what's the shadow, hood? What's the shadow? I don't really understand what the shadow is, bro, because like this shit is deep, bro. So you saying it's a part of me that's telling me not to go on sneaky links? Hood, I'm not connected with that part of myself, hood. I don't feel like when I'm going on sneaky links, bro, especially when it's somebody's girl, bro, I don't feel guilty at all. I'm feeling like I'm supposed to be doing what I'm supposed to do. And when that nigga kicked in the door and almost threatened my life, I felt like a soldier or a warrior or something, man. It didn't even feel like I was doing nothing wrong. When you're doing wrong and you don't got no remorse, well then we can't talk about shadow work. You cheating on motherfuckers and you just feel like you're supposed to be cheating and you doing wrong and you just feel like, well, that's not beautiful, right? So when you look at the six-sided cube, the six-sided cube is a symbol of beauty. And beauty is a standard of balance and stabilization. So it's not beautiful when you make the mistake to just be the homie Hopper or the backyard Becky. Like, that ain't beautiful. It's beautiful when you take time and study liberal arts and ballet and just get into yourself and your self development. Oh, you like to crochet? That's dope. That's hella dope. You can sew. You like to sew, and you don't sew for no other reason because you like to sew. That's dope. You into yourself. And your soul is telling you what to do, and you do it. That's refining that cube. That make that cube beautiful. That's the perfected man. It is the balance and the stabilization of the shadow. As now, when we look at this lunar eclipse as it stands, it's two questions. Did you reach your goals you set for yourself over the past 9 years? Right? To really get into the humiliation ritual, right? You had goals for yourself, you didn't reach them, or you did reach them, congratulations. Or you had goals and you didn't reach them, or you didn't even have goals. You was just living a day at a time because you was traumatized. Cool. Since the moon represents a completion to a time of being ignorant, it also opens up a time for you to be clear and aware of where you see yourself in the next 9 years. This is so important. It's probably the most important aspect of this time. Where do you see yourself in the next 9 years? Get clear for yourself in 9 years. Because they doing rituals right now. Israel said in the next 9 years, I see us running Iran. I see us running the Middle East, my brother. Mazel tov, my nigga. In 9 years, nigga, we gonna be popping bottles. We gonna have some hoes. And what niggas gonna do? We gonna try to fight against Israel. We gonna be protesting the war. What do I'm talking about? I'm talking about you giving niggas your energy in reference to your life when They was gonna do that shit whether you protested or not. I'm just putting it out there. We all if all of us is gonna protest, let's all protest. But if it's only gonna be 100 of y'all on the streets saying, "Don't do it, don't do it," right? You got to get the planning on where you gonna be at in the next 9 years. And if you hate this country this bad for valid reasons, I might add, set you up a 9-year exit plan. Do your due diligence. That's how you're going to properly move your energy around. Taking because all of this war is not even lunar eclipse. It's like what the magic is trying to get you to bring the energy into this new lunar season. And I'm saying, let it all be what it was, what it is. They doing all of this Epstein file releasing, and they just putting it all out there, all trying to steal your energy. And now, man, these niggas declared war on Iran, and the internet was full of jokes. I'm like, damn, the internet is not even going to take a war in Iran seriously? And they've been trying to propagandize their way into this war ever since I was a little child. It's always been, we're going to go to war with Iran sooner or later. Oh, no, you don't want to do that. You about to go to war with Iran. Oh, no, you don't want to do that. Finally, these niggas go to war with Iran, and niggas got future memes going viral. Listen, man, do not get caught up in whatever the mainstream media is putting out. If it's crazy for you to see yourself somewhere in the next 9 years, then call me fucking insane, right? Call me the craziest nigga on YouTube for telling you fixate and focus on where you see yourself in the next 9 years, and do not get caught up into this propaganda. So we're talking about the the sixth Sephiroth and the ninth Sephiroth, because the numbers are connected to the body. The sixth Sephiroth connected to beauty is booty. Is booty in your beauty. Is connected to the sun and or Jupiter through the modality of Chesed. Now, Tifereth, being beauty, is also connected to 9, which is your side, which is the foundation. So, as deep as you want to get with it, as far as like, like intestinal health, stomach health, right? You don't gotta have the most prettiest face, but if you got a nice body, niggas don't give a fuck type shit. Like, people find real beauty in the lower extremities for, multiple reasons, right? I mean, sometimes y'all be like, well, why is he with him? And then, you know what I'm saying, some shit leak on Twitter, you like, oh, I see why she with him. Oh, okay. Make perfect sense now. Right? Now, sexual energy and how you utilize sexual energy. Whether you use it for, you know, casual game, you know, sneaky link energy, or you utilize sexual energy through the modality of, a stable relationship. You generate energy with your significant other through, sexual, tantric, energetic, magical practices. That's completely up to you, right? Beauty is a concept that is centered in in the number six. But as they also say, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, which ties into the number six as it is your perspective, which ties into the number six. It is what you want your life to be, right? You are who you want yourself to be. And when you deal with your side, which is the ninth Sephiroth, the tree of life, but in the in the microcosmic universe, your side is the fourth dimension. In this microcosmic universe, it is man. Your side corresponds to the sexual organs and to the ethereal body. In the Bible, your side is Eden, the promised land, right? So because the intelligent designer doesn't make mistakes, we utilize the principle of three and three, which equals six. Kids, man, that's all I can say. So the six is a perspective, but it's also a directive, which in reference to this lunar eclipse, it falls ironically as a first of four tetrads on March 3rd, right? And this could be pure coincidence, but three plus three is six, and three times three is nine, which is an inner directive to your foundation and to your ways and means of expansion. So, if we were going to evolve as a species on the planet and we were going to get a call or a signal, then this would be the said call. This would be the said signal. So, as I stated earlier, but I'll reinstate and reiterate this information, the full moon is going to be mediated by Jupiter and Gemini. Jupiter and Gemini representing the ability to expand using your mental faculties, which is also going to assist you in how you can serve the collective, your sun in Aquarius, but also how you can show up at the highest level for your personal levels of growth and development. So to understand and fixate and focus on the energy, the sun being your public self and the moon being your private self, is to fully understand and understand the tension that these two entities and the how these two energies really coincide in your everyday life. Are you aware of these two entities in your everyday life? Because usually one could be pulling the other one along, or vice versa. Meaning that you could be showing up so much for the people in your household that you're not showing up for yourself, or vice versa. You showing up for yourself so much that you neglecting the people in your home. And so really finding this balance between your public self, your working self, versus your private self, your home self, is going to be easier said than done, but it's going to be considered easier if you include the energy of Jupiter being sextile and trine to this tension filled moon. So as I went through the particular Sabian symbols, they brought forth a lot of clarity on how all of these planets would be working together and coming together to bring about an end to, you know, one of the longest, one of the most strenuous, taxing humiliation rituals known to man, right? And it utilizes the modalities of alchemy and the great unmasking. So, as I stated earlier, the sun, which represents your public life, is going to be at 18 degrees Aquarius during the lunar eclipse. And the symbolism for this particular Sabian symbol is that the truth always out in the end, exposure of hidden causes and purposes. So when you look at what's happening with the president, which is just a symbol that um, like that show on Marvel, it was Agatha all along. You watching, what's that? It was called WandaVision. You watching WandaVision, and then the next season after that is it was Agatha all along, right? So it's like it's this hidden spiritual hand that's taking control of things this whole entire time, and you was none the wiser. I think for the spiritualist that goes through a tough time, it's very important to acknowledge spirituality even more so when you're going through that tough time, because it's easy to bear witness to spirit when things are going your way, but we should bear witness when spirit is working for us in a positive manner, because if spirit is working for you in a positive manner, it ain't you, right? It's your ability to ride the wave or to ride the current. So the moon representing our private life, this Sabian symbol is a teacher of chemistry or a chemist, which represents our ability to transform, our ability to adapt, demonstrating knowledge of magic. So, in order for me to fully get into this lunar eclipse in this full breakdown, I was able to correlate it and transmute it to a humiliation ritual, which is a school for magic development and magic awareness, right? A humiliation ritual is ways to keep you subjective, ways to enforce boundaries, and ways to keep integrity in the magical person. If you know that there are spirits, entities that are watching you at all times, then this is how you actually transform, right? If if I'm doing readings or if I'm doing any type of spiritual work, it is not Kyrie that is doing the shamanism. It is whoever wants to talk to you at that particular time. I'm just the medium. I'm just the voice behind it, right? And that's the reason why it resonates. That's the reason why it hits. It's not because I wake up and feel like I'm the big bad man Kyrie, but I've been through the humiliation rituals. I understand the art of ritual, the art of magic, and all of these things correlate to astrology, which what we have been talking about. But it's like, you know, getting to this actual point from all of this particular knowledge, it's just rewarding, right? It makes it to be, if I started a circle and I was walking and I didn't think that I was ever going to meet the end of the circle, and at times, it's like I'm looking at myself, I'm looking in the mirror, and I'm trying to figure it out. But then it's like, shit, you just keep walking. And eventually you meet the end, you meet the purpose of, and now you can move on, right? Because a lot of the things that I've experienced over this past 9 years was a bunch of old energy that wasn't allowing me to appreciate and be happy of the new energy. But that's a level of magic. That's where a lot of the work began to be purifying and, banishing in spiritual hygiene and starting over and relearning and really getting to a level of clarity. So when I'm working on videos like this and I'm bringing forth knowledge like this, it's not like coming out of thin air. You know, in my mind and my spirit, I've been working on this video, like I said, for a month. And so when I start looking up Sabian symbols and things of that nature, and it just correlates with everything that I've been working on and taking notes on, and I've been bear witnessing through the daily energy readings and things of that nature. And I say all of that to say, there are higher powers involved in this particular type of stuff. In the ways for which you work with magic, the ways for which you work with spirituality is to recognize that there are higher powers. That's the mystery. Nobody is more, there's no such thing as a nigga being spiritual in the sense that he has special powers. My special power is that I allow for the higher powers to intercede. That's the mystery. Okay. So in your private life, is God there, or is it a house of secrets? If your private life and your moon life is a house of secrets, then the humiliation ritual is the fact that you live in half and half. You're not even, you find God in your home. You don't go to a church and find God. You paying rent every month, that high ass rent, so you can do full fledged rituals in that motherfucker. Or else, what is you doing in that motherfucker? Going to sleep? You need to set up your shit like a sanctuary and get to some goddamn magic, okay? Stop playing around with this shit. I mean, you can ignore it, but that's just what people do, you know? And that's cool too. Keep ignoring it. I can't stop niggas from doing that. So the mediator planet, which is Jupiter, which is going to be at 20 degrees Gemini, represents a cafeteria, or the dangers of superabundance, the supreme importance of applying reasonable limits to our desired nature. So, prior to 2020 or during 2020, you know, niggas wake up and still feel like they can have everything. That's like going to the buffet and saying, I'm going to eat everything, or going to the cafeteria or at school saying, I'm going to eat at Steak and Shake, Chick-fil-A, and McDonald's. Nobody ever said that. They going to get one meal and taking it home. So, in order to balance your public and private self, you simplify it by having 1 to 2 things that you really want to work towards the 9 years. Whether it's owning your own property, or owning your second property, or starting your business, or starting your restaurant, whatever it is, right? You ain't going to do a million and one things like it's 2020. You ain't going to say, I'm going to wake up and I'm going to have it all. You just going to say, I'm going to build my credit score up so I can have 150,000 credit score limit. That's my goal. I just want to have 150 credit limit because that's what I want to do. Whatever it is, I want to get married. Hood. In 9 years, I'm going to get married. I'm going to find me somebody, start taking some classes, how to treat a bitch right class. You offering that class, Hood? I'm trying. I'm trying to sign up for some classes. So part of the moon Sabian symbol, a chemist or an alchemist, the fundamental Latin alchemical maxim or standard, meaning dissolve and coagulate, solve et coagula, it represents the process of breaking down a substance and recombining it into a new purified form. It symbolizes the great work of transformation, often applied to transmuting base metals into gold or metaphorically purifying the soul. So when we get down to the shadow of the three, you have the shadow of the mind, you have the shadow of the body, but you also have the shadow of the soul. And the shadow of the soul is the part of you that is trying to tell you how powerful you are. And your overall making it into your greatest 9 year cycle is if you can first just simply allow the reality of how powerful you are to get centered into your reality. The shadow of your soul is the magnitude of your soul and the magnitude of your life that you're not allowing in because the the constraints of stress and and negativity associated with the world, the ego and life and blah blah blah, none of that equates to how powerful you could be. So the great work is to first get rid of all that bullshit and then the parts of you that you like, combine it into a new purified form. This is the work. This is spiritual hygiene. And this ain't the last time you're gonna do this shit. Cause it's like, well, I'm gonna take a bath today and I'm gonna take a super bath this time, hood. It's a lunar eclipse. So this bath, I ain't gonna never have to take a bath for the next 20 years after this one. This is gonna be a fucking doozy. I'm telling you. Got a little bit of bleach in that motherfucker. I ain't gonna have to take a bath ever again. No. Spiritual hygiene is spiritual hygiene. And this alchemical maxim should not be forgotten. You should always remember when the shit get too dirty, you gotta clean it up. You're gonna take what you need and you're gonna bring it into some new shit. This is the great work. And in 2026, the work that was started, you know what I'm saying, eons ago in motherfucking huts, we continue in that work today because we have not forgotten the school of ourselves, which is the observation of the celestial transits, to which we can incorporate the interpretations into our daily applications and become better and greater for it moving forward. So, one of the major concepts that came to mind as I was finishing up this particular explanation of the lunar eclipse uh, was the took it from this book Baphomet by Tracy Twyman. The last chapter of this book is called "Riding the Goat Current," and I'm summarizing it because this book is dense with information. Baphomet, the Temple Mystery Unveiled by Tracy Twyman. It is basically riding the goat current or the current of energy, right? Even in on the Substack article, we conclude that the blood moon on March 3rd, 2026 serves as a definitive cosmic bookend, a threshold where one narrative ends, an entirely new architecture begins. We have the choice to view this as just another day or as the moment we claim our spiritual sovereignty with absolute seriousness. True alignment was never going to magically happen. It required us to identify our goals and commit to the fortification of our mind, body, and soul, refusing the easy shortcuts designed to distract us from our own power. As you become acquainted with your soul, you'll find that its frequency is both a gift and a challenge to those around you who have yet to foster that same interconnection. Your role is to not save people through intervention, but to save them through the integrity of your existence by becoming a living beacon of what it looks like to move in total unison with the divine. This state is not achieved by sheer force or will alone, but by the grace that finally aligns you with the current of universe. Once you find that current, the ease of the ride becomes self-evident. In occult and initiatory traditions, riding the goat is the symbolic shorthand for the moment the initiate ceases to be a subject of the forces of nature, but becomes a master of them. It is the ultimate transition or transformation, moving from being a victim of the humiliation ritual to becoming the rider of the very forces that once sought to humble you. The season of testing is over and the era of mastery has begun. This is a powerful painting of a witch riding a goat. But see, the goat is going one way and the witch is riding it the other way. And the goat is going another way and her hair is going the other way. So she's going where the goat is going, but it's also where she needs to go, regardless if she's going the right way or the wrong way. Now, if you felt as if forces was against you, they probably were, my nigga. They probably were. I be looking at some of these stories online like, damn, sucks to be him. And I know people be looking at my situation like, damn, it sucks to be him because it be these, like, I had some traffic tickets. These niggas was like, well, this is not a criminal offense, but we might put your ass in jail if you don't pay these goddamn traffic tickets. I'm like, come on, man, what part of the game is that? These niggas sent a warrant to my house. These niggas gonna lock me up for traffic tickets. I couldn't believe it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm saying all of this to say, if you feel that the forces is against you, believe it. But also, this is the transition from them forces being against you to working with you. But you can't be so butthurt and bitter about the situation. So many niggas give up before they time. Yeah, these motherfucking forces is relenting, unrelenting. They just keep coming at you. You gotta clock in every fucking day. Gotta pay an electric bill every month, the rent, all that shit. Yes, but I promise you, the way that y'all see these entities and energies come into the world and cause this disruption and chaos, it'll be the same vehicle that instruments peace and change in the world. And I say people are not mad enough yet, but eventually they gonna get mad enough, and we gonna enact real change and real, celestial order in this motherfucker. But as for now, we coming up on the precipice of, one of the most significant wars that this country has ever faced with, and there'll be, ramifications and things of that nature that everybody's gonna have to deal with, you know. But with all of that being said, riding the GOAT current, you cannot beat up the higher forces. You can't be, if you feel like, when you feel like motherfuckers is against you, you gotta submit, you gotta be aware of that shit. You can't, what you gonna do? You can't fight it. So what fighting it looks like is getting high. You know what I'm saying? Drinking, doing hard drugs, running away, escaping. Like you not fighting them. You gotta be aware of it and submit to it. And like the sun in the winter, you must assimilate with the cycle. If the cycle is the gods is at your ass, you're gonna have to go in hibernation mode, buddy. You have to go and just chill the fuck out. Cause remember, you knew you ain't deserved that promotion. You know you ain't deserved that sugar daddy to be paying all that money like he was paying. But it was your season. You was winning. It wasn't because you was putting in effort. Your sugar daddy was sending you $10,000 cash apps and shit. Like, hey, beautiful. But you thought that you was that bitch, and you was Trina, the baddest bitch, and all this stuff. But you wasn't giving no offerings to Oshun. And Oshun said, "Oh, this bitch thinks she the hot shit." Well, sugar daddy done got a stroke. Now what? Now you gotta find another sugar daddy, and you riding down the block playing the baddest bitch, and none of the niggas is not checking for you like they used to. The next time you get a sugar daddy, make sure you take your ass to the river and give Oshun some roses and some honey and say thank you, fairy godmother, so forth and so on. Don't be looking in the mirror thinking that you all that. I mean, whatever the case may be, it's a way for which you could work with these spirits and get everything that you want. But you ain't gonna be the type of motherfucker that don't give them they just do, they offerings and things of that nature. Don't bring your ego into the spiritual game. I'll tell you that right off the rip. Because you'll be trying to flap your wings hard as hell in the current, thinking that the eagle is flying high because he flapping wings, and that nigga flying by you just coasting on the current. Like, what the fuck wrong with this nigga? This nigga like, I'm at the gym working on getting strong wings. I'm about to fly hard as fuck up here in the sky. This nigga like, we don't do that, bro, up here. We ride the current, my boy. Part of riding the current is study, education, getting in where you fit in, meeting the right people, shaking enough hands, getting enough phone numbers. Then you just gonna ride the current. The calls just gonna come, the orders just gonna come, the emails are just gonna come, but you gonna have to put in the work. But ultimately, if you putting in the work and you giving offerings, you doing your ritual, then you riding the current. Ain't nobody out this bitch. The reason why niggas can't just teach you how to make $1 million, because the nigga that made $1 million did so off a level of luck that he can't even fully express to your ass. My Uncle Tommy, he was fucking this girl named Susie, and Susie just happened to have a cousin that was selling bricks. And I would have never even met the cousin if I didn't tripped over my fucking toenail. And his cousin was there like, hey, bro, you need some help? I'm like, yeah. And then the brick fell out his pocket. I'm like, bro, let me get that from you, bro. He like, yeah, this only 10 bands. You like 10 bands for a key? Oh, shit. And that's how I got $1 million. So I'm going to teach you a course on how to meet your sister's cousin, Tommy, and trip over your left toenail and run. You can't teach a nigga luck. You can't teach the current and how to ride the current. Because usually, I'm telling you how this shit is working, man. This shit is working because Spirit said it's working. You alive because Spirit said that nigga cool. You ain't shit in the grand scheme of things. I'm sorry to be the first nigga to tell you. Ain't no ego spiritualist motherfucker in the world. I'm the first nigga to tell you that ain't nobody. You either allowing spirit to work through you, or you a con artist. You're a charlatan. If God is in control, if the spirits is in control, A nigga that wipe his ass every night is not, you know what I'm saying? Nigga will fuck a couch if it's thick enough. Talking about he a holy emperor. And they showed that shit with the popes and the Roman Catholic Church and all them niggas getting indicted and having to pay all that money. If them niggas was godly, they wouldn't be doing all of that evil. Because man can't be godly. Man can only be a shaman, a medium, a channel, a vessel for that is higher. And if you don't understand that or overstand that, you just trying to make $1. You understand? And it don't cost you nothing to listen to this video. I ain't did this. I don't do this shit. This video that I did here, I ain't do it for no money. If it made sense to you, I ain't do it so you could pay me. I did it so you can know who you were. I spent this time and energy on this video for anybody that was going to listen to it and say, damn, maybe I have been selling myself short. Maybe I've been misreading the fact of these energies being against me as a reason to give up. If energies is against you, that's like the wind being against you. If it's a strong wind against you, that's also a strong current you can ride on, my nigga. I'm telling you. Niggas was against me ever since I could remember. These goddamn spirits, boy, ever since I was a kid, up until this very fucking day, they don't stop fucking with you. You can definitely ride on top of them motherfuckers, cause they like, you know, it's like a fucking a horse mixed with a pit bull, right? Motherfucker attacking you, biting you on the neck and shit. You get on top of it, that motherfucker drive you to motherfucking Colorado if you needed to. Just give it a water or two, motherfucker take you wherever the fuck you need to go. Right? So the overall outcome of this full moon ritual of the goat is not about destruction, but about shedding vices to be fitted for a place amongst the celestial constellations, which is just, you know, understanding and overstanding that you are a star. Like Aleister Crowley once famously said, every man and every woman is a star. When we study astrology, we're not just studying stars in the sky. We're studying ourselves at the most deepest metaphysical, mythological, and spiritual levels, man. I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Hope y'all got what I was trying to put down in this particular video, to whereas you are able to understand and overstand these dark forces that's against you. Let's believe they against you, but you can do alchemy, transmute them and transform them, and ride those same energies that's against you and ride them off into the sunset. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you join the Substack as well. We got a full article on said subject, touch on a couple things that didn't even touch on this particular video. The article is free. The article is up under the same title. The humiliation ritual is over. Okay. The lunar eclipse is going to be happening at nighttime. Depending on where you at in North America, you should be able to see it. I say bear witness to it, have a experience with it, and you know, understand, you know, take control of these energies, you know, get on top of these motherfuckers. And when motherfuckers say, how you get so successful that quick, that easy? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Just tell them, you know what I'm saying? I can't tell you how to stub your left toe and meet your cousin Ricky that was selling the bricks. You just gonna have to just, you know, get a pair of Vans and hopefully stub your left toe or something. You know what I'm saying? You can't teach luck, okay? Remember that. You can't teach luck. Ain't nothing stopping you from getting $100,000 check tomorrow, okay? The same forces that's keeping you broke will be the same forces that'll show up at your doorstep with a huge motherfucking check from a settlement that you won 10 years ago that you forgot about. You had an Aunt Jenny James who loved you so when you was a baby and put you in her will and gave your ass everything. You just don't know about it yet because you feel you've been so broke and you felt like the world was against you. And it was for this very reason that it can be going with you as well. So hopefully y'all was able to take from that. And I will catch y'all all on the flip side in the next video. Stay tuned for another daily energy reading coming soon. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, especially if you like videos like this and you haven't subscribed. If you want to make sure you do not miss a live, be sure to join the Substack. Link is in the description. It is free to join. Every time I go live, you will get an email notification, or you can download the Substack app and you will get notified directly through the app. Finally, if you've been going through tough times, you know what I'm saying? It's been a rough go of it. I just want you to know, that humiliation ritual is over. And it might not happen overnight, but you will start to see a regrowth and a rebirth process. And if it doesn't resonate with you, get into your banishing rituals, cleanse your area, mop your floors, you know what I'm saying? Organize your areas to usher in new energy, okay? The humiliation ritual is over. And with all that being said, please enjoy this weekend. I will catch y'all all on the flip side. Make sure y'all check out whiterabbitpsych.com. You know, let me know if you put in an order today. I will, might not come by the lunar eclipse. I'm not even gonna hold you. If you're in Detroit, I'll deliver to you. So you know what I'm saying. If you're in Ohio, we can meet in Toledo. You know what I'm saying. What else? Where else? Uh, that's how far I could go. You know what I'm saying? I got kids. This girl pregnant. She due any day now. Hopefully, the baby be born March 3rd. That'll be dope. But other than that, y'all have a wonderful, wonderful day as I get back to these crazy ass kids. Peace to the tribe, peace to the collective. I'll see y'all all on the flip side. Peace.